Okay, guys, I'm going to give you guys a few tips on how to make these school portrait remixes work out a little bit better because I've noticed some common themes of some of the ones that I think are a little more successful, like this one and this one and this one. One of the things or the similarities I notice is that they're relatively simple. There might be some um, you know complex things going on, but they're balanced by simple things. And I've noticed on the face on all three of these reads really clear. There's not a whole lot pasted into the middle of the face, which offers a little bit more recognition of who the person is, and it just makes the whole thing a little bit more legible. So that's the first suggestion here, is choose images that are relatively simple. If I was to come in here and first of all, if you didn't already do this, you want to make sure that you push out most of the gray area. So it's pretty much just black and white. That'll kind of keep it simpler in the first place. You can kind of see a quick before and after here. Here's with the grays, here's kind of without the grays. And then if we're going to choose something to paste in, say I already copied and pasted the part of the face. If I was going to, or the skin part of the face, if I was going to paste in something, I probably wouldn't want to choose something like this one because it's just too complex, like too much going on. I start to lose readability of the thing. So I think a better choice for something there would be either just leave it blank completely, or you can try something like a gradient. To do a gradient overlay, you just click on the layers panel here and you get these kind of things called layer styles that we haven't talked a whole lot about yet. But you can do a gradient, what's called a gradient overlay, and you can choose some colors here. I think I'm just going to keep it simple and go with some of the similar colors that are already in this scene, like sort of a sky blue to white. And I can say okay like this, and then I have to reveal this layer here first, come back in, and this way you can have something going on in there, but it isn't too complex. Right now I've chosen a radial gradient. You can also choose like a linear that just kind of goes from top to bottom, and you can move it in one direction or another with your cursor over here. There's something going on in the face then, but it's not overly complex. So I think it's kind of cool to position the light part of that radial gradient right over the eye, perhaps like that. You can also switch colors if you wanted to try something warmer, like a yellow or something like that instead. So just another option for something in the face if you want something there, but not to create too much complexity. It might actually be a better idea entirely to just leave that open and then choose these features of the face, like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, maybe some of the shadow on the left side of the face there. You might be better off actually just taking something that's kind of dark and kind of simple, and see, where did I throw that layer? Let's put that one above the facial features layer right here. And making that large enough to fill that whole space. So I copied and pasted just those facial features, then kind of move that around so you can see the dark part of the sky kind of fills my eyes, and they contrast nicely with the simple background there. If it's not dark enough, the image you chose to paste in there, you can also throw on a layer adjustment that's just an exposure adjustment like this, and you can actually decrease the exposure and make it darker. You wouldn't want to probably make it so dark that you don't see the photo anymore, but you can actually adjust that. And the layer adjustment, exposure adjustment looks like this right here. So there's with with and without that. So that might be a good idea to keep kind of simple, dark facial features on a lighter kind of face so it's still legible. So we talked about punching out the grays, leaving the face blank deliberately, and clipping something dark in. Those are the first 3 or 4 tips there. If it's getting just too busy and too cluttered, you might just try starting over. Remember at the beginning of this, we created these 2 extra layers here. So you can kind of be like, well, that one didn't really work out. I'm going to start over again with one of these and just see how it goes. Because now that you understand the process, you can maybe use a little more restraint and a little more aesthetic judgment as you proceed. So just knowing the technique isn't necessarily the same as knowing good design. And I think keeping things unified, keeping things simple is the best tactic there. Last thing I'm going to suggest here is you can add just other parts of other photos into the background or as extensions of part of your face that aren't necessarily using the clipping mask, and that can make things kind of interesting too. So I'd say I just want to take and put something in the background here. So I come and take this guy, and then I'm going to drag him. See where these trees landed. I'm going to drag that behind pretty much everything in the layers panel, so it's back there. And then I could actually just make it big enough, make sure that's a high-res image, or else it wouldn't really print very nice if we put this in an art show. I place it like so. I didn't quite fill the space. It just kind of gives me some kind of a background. Remember your other background options. You could just put some color back there. You could try just a gradient. Maybe just another solid color. By the way I did the gradient this time was with this gradient tool here. You want to choose a foreground and a background color, and then you just kind of stretch your gradient out like this, and then it puts something in there. So those are all some options just to fill the background, but leaving it pretty simple and empty is nice too. I almost feel like this is a bit much, so in this case I might throw like a saturation adjustment and take the saturation down on just the background there, just so it doesn't get to be too much. And then the last suggestion is you might just put like another image into this thing. In this case, I just threw this maple leaf in. I'm just going to actually back up one step and put it in front of everything else so you can see it more easily. And this time I'm not going to actually use the clipping mask technique. I am going to cut out the background by just kind of choosing the leaf here, doing my select inverse and delete the background. That has to be rasterized first. But then just kind of thinking like, what could I do with this just to make this more interesting? Maybe I just have this kind of mark on my forehead. I did grow up in Minnesota with 40 maple trees in my backyard, so it does actually say something about me. Maybe I put it behind the original image of the face here, and then enlarge it, and it becomes kind of a crown of some sort or another. Kind of adds a cool splash of color. So we're getting interesting without being overwhelming, I think, here at this point. And then the last reminder I want to make is that you do have to use an overlay somewhere. And to do an overlay, remember the shortcut key is to simply you can come through these and see what each of them do, but the shortcut is just to hit shift and then plus or minus. You can quickly cycle through the different overlays and you can kind of see how that might work. So just find a way to sneak that overlay in somewhere into your design. I'm just kind of trying the different overlays in different areas, or sorry, the different blend modes, I should say. Overlay is one of the blend modes. So try that and have fun with this. Be creative. That's all the tips I have for you right now. Thanks for watching.